So, flapdoodle.
He's a fucking freak.
When did this become your business?
Dobby's sock. The family pan.
Oh, they took my freaking kidney.
We are gathered here together today to petition. So next week on the 20th will mark the first day of DSA Day on the Hill 2023, which is a few days, mainly the first day. So the 20th is technically the day on the hill or whatever. It consists of a few days of lobbyists for the MLM industry, sort of like descending upon Capitol Hill, and meeting with Congress people, our elected representatives and officials, and canoodling with them behind closed doors and convincing them, to do all kinds of shady shit that protects MLMs. And shit, now I'm never going to be monetized. Oh God. The MLM industry their asses are really covered big time by Congress, due to their special cozy relationships with the Direct Selling Association. I'm butchering this, but basically what I'm going to do is read you guys, read something to you that I wrote on my website, which is linked below. And that's going to kind of tie into why it's so important that we get a whole lot of signatures on this petition that I also have linked in the description. So let me share. So if you go to the website at the top, you should have the option to just click to sign the petition to tell Congress to close the MLM loophole. If you already know you'd like to do that and you don't need an explanation as to why, by all means, please just go do that and stop watching me. If you don't have a personal story to share to your federal, state, or local representative, you could consider writing to a member of the FSGG Appropriations Subcommittee, which is a mouthful. But this is so interesting. So this is who, in Congress, gets to decide, how the government's money is allocated and used among the different government departments, I guess. Agencies. That's the word. That is exactly the word. Thank you. Thank you. Or any of the Congress members who will be voting on their proposed amendments to the FTC's appropriations soon, objecting to their recent push to withhold funding to the Federal Trade Commission when that funding would be used specifically to finalize or enforce the trade regulation on the use of earnings claims or the review of the business opportunity rulemakings without a clear statement of need. I know this is so wordy, and I will go through it. Blah, 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 blah. To finalize or enforce the trade regulation on use of earnings claims or the review of the business opportunity rulemakings without a clear statement of need or unless overlapping rulemaking and improvements in self-regulation and consumer protection of industries that would be impacted is considered. So, all right, I'll finish up here, and then I'll go back to that and explain. This is nothing more than a delay and disrupt tactic being employed by politicians, likely some of the politicians who will be canoodling with DSA lobbyists next month. I wrote this last month, so next week. The bill has not gone to the full House for a vote yet, and progress on that can be tracked here. Oh my God, I hope that this isn't a moot point. Let's check it. Okay, no. Okay, cool. Okay, so anyway, this is what I was talking about here. We can oh my God, where did it say this? I think I looked for, Yeah. Okay. So this is in the FSGG proposed appropriations bill that is going to be voted on by Congress soon-ish. Don't know when. But this is for the fiscal year 2024. So kind of soon. None of the funds in this act may be used to finalize or enforce the trade regulations on the use of earnings claims, which is the first rulemaking that MLMchange.org did a letter writing campaign for, a comment writing campaign for in 2022. So that was our big first MLM change campaign, if you remember. I remember. So that's what the trade regulation on use of earnings claim rulemaking is. The review of the business opportunity rulemaking is the one that just took place this past January. So this is, I'm just going to call it ANPR1 and ANPR2. It's the advance notice of proposed rulemaking, and it's what I've been calling it for 2 years. So none of the funds in this act, meaning the appropriations of the entire budget of the FTC for the fiscal year of 2024, may be used to finalize or enforce ANPR1 or ANPR2 without a clear statement of need, which we've already provided, and so has the FTC, or unless overlapping rulemaking and improvements in self-regulation and consumer protection of industries that would be impacted is considered. And what that means by when they say overlapping rulemaking, they are referring to the fact that the FTC is considering implementing a new rulemaking regarding the trade regulation on the use of earnings claims. And simultaneously, they are also considering revisions to the business opportunity rule that could, depending on what they are, end up being and what it looks like, which we don't even know, they could overlap with one another in purpose and substance. And this is just like making up or saying that that's a good reason to halt progress on both of them. There's no need for us to have two of these going on, so we shouldn't do any. So that's the first half of that sentence, the unless overlapping rulemaking. Then the improvements in self-regulation and consumer protection of industries that would be impacted. That is talking about the interests of the DSA. So self-regulation refers to the DSSRC, the Direct Sellers Self-Regulation Commission, I think, committee, maybe. And let's see. This is all very surprising to me. I really thought the government had a laissez-faire attitude towards MLMs. Glad to hear they're doing something. Here's the thing, Pete. The top of the tippy top of Amway is the DeVos family. That should be all you need to hear. So essentially this section 531, I think SEC stands for section here. Correct me if I'm wrong. So none of the funds that are being appropriated, if this is passed as is, none of the funds that are appropriated to the FTC for next year's period will be allowed to be used in any way to finalize or enforce or work on or whatever either of the ANPRs that we have been talking about for the last year and a half. Now I want to go back up and we will take a look at the petition real quick, and hopefully you guys can spread it around just as much as possible, because the more signatures, the better. Now, before I click on this, the last time I looked at it, there were 900 signatures. I really hope, there's over 1,000. So let's see. Oh, dang it. You guys, 705 people signed today. That's freaking amazing. Okay, so I am going to read you what Erin Whitty had to say. Whitty is the Director of Consumer Protection for Consumer Federation of America. which you can find more information about Erin and the organization at consumerfed.org. And she wrote this petition. We kind of all worked on the message together, and she tried to dumb it down into a really simple format that would be easy to hopefully understand for people who haven't read Ponzi-nomics by Robert Fitzpatrick. So Erin says, multi-level marketing boasts that it is a $40 billion industry across our country. Unfortunately, available data shows that the vast majority of this money does not go toward the millions of hardworking Americans trying to earn money as MLM distributors, but instead lines the pockets of a very small fraction, less than 1%, of extremely wealthy distributors at the very top of these structures. The money also funds the Direct Selling Association and corporate political giving that funnels millions of dollars to members of Congress to protect industry interests and to avoid consumer protection safeguards. The vast majority of consumers, estimated at more than 95%, end their involvement in direct selling at a net financial loss. Only a small fraction earn even part-time income, let alone the high earnings and lavish lifestyles often promoted. Even more telling, consumers who have left MLM report that they would not rejoin the same MLM because they do not like the business model and they did not earn what they expected to. Despite this terrible track record, MLMs do not have to play by the same rules as other business opportunities. 10 years ago, this is the history lesson for you, Pete. 10 years ago, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, created a gaping loophole for MLMs from its business opportunity rule. The rule is simple. Someone selling you a business opportunity must give you basic information, like whether the business has been sued, whether you're likely to earn what was promised, and what happens if you want to quit. But MLMs, one of the largest business opportunity industries in the country, do not have to do this. Why? Because the DSA helped generate a letter writing campaign to the FTC asking for special treatment, and they got it. I'm going to add my own little note here for anyone who is not already aware. That letter writing campaign that Erin referenced right there resulted in 17,000 letters being written in response to the advance notice of proposed rulemaking for the business opportunity rule back in like 2006 or something. Now the FTC is considering closing this loophole, and the DSA and MLMs are very worried. For the record, I started my like anti-MLM career, if you will, doing a letter writing campaign, kind of based off of what the DSA did to try and combat it, and it was really fucking successful. I'm super proud of it. And that all took place on MLMchange.org. So that's why I'm using that website to update all this information. So moving on. On September 20th, the DSA is going to meet with your representatives in Congress to spread the false narrative based on highly selective testimonials that consumers are doing just fine and MLM should not be regulated. In fact, some members of Congress are trying to withhold the FTC's funding and have added harmful policy writers into appropriations legislation, which would kill efforts to close the MLM loophole. Sign this petition today so that we can tell members of Congress the truth. The loophole should be closed. MLMs should play by the same rules as every other business opportunity, and the FTC should be fully funded and allowed to do its job to protect consumers. Boom. And that's on closing the MLM loophole.
The family time.
Oh, they took my freaking kidney.